Bodyful Minds Podcast. More you, less noise. If you're an ambitious mum trying to build your career while raising a family, today's episode is for you. We're talking about ambition without burnout, how to define success on your own terms, break free from the hustle mentality, and use body awareness to know when to push and when to pause. Because let's be real, society's version of success often feels impossible. And as mums, we're caught in an impossible equation: be a dedicated parent and a high achiever at work without missing a beat. But what if we could rewrite that script? What if success didn't have to come at the cost of exhaustion? So grab a tea, a coffee, or maybe take a deep breath, keep folding laundry, or just, walk to your next meeting. Let's talk about ambition in a way that actually works for you. Let's start by talking about how society shapes our definition of success. Have you ever stopped to think about where your definition of success actually comes from? From a young age, we absorb messages about what it means to be successful. Work hard, climb the ladder, don't stop. I know that many of us had fathers that were absent and working a lot, not necessarily doing what they loved, mind you. This concept of hard work, and that work is not enjoyable. Hard work implies that, doesn't it? That you need to work a lot if you want to be successful is so stuck in our heads, if not in our bodies. It is not only in our heads, but that of our partners too. For them, it's to provide for the family as their fathers did, or maybe to provide for their family because their fathers didn't. And they're applying the same work-life model. A lot of work and little time at home. No matter how equally split everything was before you had kids, once kids enter the equation, it is often like the switch is flipped. And we, as women, take on the roles of our parents or the roles that our parents modeled for us. And for women, that means taking on the care work and suddenly adding household chores to that, while men think they have to work harder, and it sometimes feels like they're maybe hiding at work because they feel now they need to provide, now they've got to be responsible, and they need to make sure they bring home enough money for their family. But if you're a woman, there is an extra layer. You have to be ambitious, but not too ambitious, be a good mother, but also make sure you're proving yourself at work. And it's no wonder so many of us feel torn. Like we're constantly running on a treadmill, trying to keep up with a version of success that wasn't even designed for us, but that is deeply ingrained in ourselves. And here's the thing, that definition doesn't actually serve us. It leads us straight into hustle mode, where we push through exhaustion, ignore our own needs, and end up feeling depleted instead of fulfilled. I know hustle mode well. Probably you do too. It's that feeling of always being on, always chasing the next thing, whether it's the next promotion, the next project, or just trying to stay afloat between meetings and school drop-offs. We become masters of checking off boxes on never-ending to-do lists at work and at home. We get, shit done. And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. But hustle mode is sneaky because it feels productive, but in reality, it's a fast track to burnout. Here's how you know you're stuck in hustle mode. You rarely feel a sense of accomplishment because there's always more to do. And you're looking for more to do. Let's be honest about that. You push through exhaustion, telling yourself you'll rest later. That's the supermom myth. Moms never run out of energy. You measure your worth by how much you get done or how busy you are. Not by how you feel, not only about what you do, but also purely and simply how you feel as an individual. And let's be honest, as moms, we already have an invisible mental load weighing us down. Add hustle culture to the mix and it's like running a marathon without ever stopping to refuel. So how do we shift? How do we stay ambitious without burning out? This is where body awareness comes in. Your body is always communicating with you. The problem is we've been taught to ignore it. As kids, we've heard, "Oh dear, it's not that bad. Now, no need to cry." Or, "Stop crying, I really don't see a problem." when our bodies and our feelings told us otherwise. Add to that the constant pressure for girls and women to submit to a standard of physical beauty, and it becomes even harder to trust and connect with your body. This disconnect doesn't just affect self-image. It seeps into how we manage stress and ambition. If we've been conditioned to ignore what our bodies tell us about beauty, discomfort, or even hunger, it's no surprise that we also struggle to recognize the signals of burnout. When we push through exhaustion or stress without listening to those cues, we reinforce the idea that our body's needs don't matter. And that's exactly how hustle culture traps us, by keeping us disconnected from what we actually need. The body is being externalized, something to be shaped. Your body is an integral part of your being, though, if we want to or not. So we might as well lean into this and reap the benefits. Because if we don't, it is like Don Quixote and the windmills, an impossible fight against reality. So think about it. How often do you push through fatigue, headaches, or even that tightness in your shoulders because you just need to get through the day? Do you know when your jaw is tight and can you release it? How often do you take a deep and satisfying breath that releases tension just like that? When we tune in, when we actually listen, we can start to create a more sustainable form of ambition. So instead of forcing yourself to be on all the time, start paying attention to when you have natural energy peaks. Are you more focused in the morning? Do you feel drained after back-to-back calls? Use this information to structure your work with your body, not against it, as much as that is possible. Be intentional about shifting gears. So before moving from work mode into family mode, for example, try to at least take a couple deep breaths, or if you can, take a brief but swift walk around the block. Try to do the same when you change the topics you work on in a professional context. A quick stretch or rolling out your ankles, wrists, and shoulders could be a physical way to support the mental move to the next topic or next context. But I'm sure you know those situations where you have a play date and meet at the playground. The adults talk and the kids play, but you get constantly interrupted to tend to someone or watch one of your kids accomplish something. And at the end of the day, you feel like you've touched base on a million things with the other adults, but it's never just that one meaningful topic of conversation. It is a constant back and forth, readjusting your attention as you are trying to do your children justice as much as the adult conversation that you are maybe even craving desperately. So especially as mothers, we juggle so many topics and to-dos that making these shifts as consciously as possible makes a big difference. I mentioned it before briefly, but one simple yet effective strategy is to build small transition rituals in your day. For example, before switching from work mode to family time, take a few deep breaths, stretch, or even change your shoes to signal a shift in mindset. At work, when moving between different tasks, try closing your eyes for a few seconds or rolling your shoulders to reset. These small intentional actions help anchor you in the present and make the mental switch smoother, reducing exhaustion from constantly shifting gears. It is so exhausting for the mind to keep going back and forth between things. And worst of all, at the end of the day, you feel exhausted and like you didn't get a lot done, because it is not only such a fast pace at which you're going, it's too many topics across too many areas. So making that intentional shift is so great. It makes such a big difference. Trust me. The other thing is, not all exhaustion is bad. Sometimes we're tired because we're growing, learning, or challenging ourselves. That's a good stretch. But if exhaustion is chronic, if you're running on empty, your body is waving a red flag. Learning to tell the difference helps you know when to push forward and when to step back. Our bodies are designed to handle short bursts of stress. This is called eustress or good stress. It helps us rise to challenges, stay motivated, and learn new things. But when stress becomes chronic, it shifts into distress. This leads to exhaustion, decreased focus, and even physical symptoms like headaches or disrupted sleep. The key is knowing when stress is pushing you forward and when it's holding you back. Pay attention to the subtle cues your body gives you. A good stretch might feel like nervous excitement before a big presentation, or the mental fatigue that comes after a productive brainstorming session, but you still feel energized by the challenge. A red flag, on the other hand, shows up as chronic headaches, difficulty sleeping, irritability, or the sense that no matter how much you do, it's never enough. Your body knows the difference before your mind catches up. Checking in with yourself regularly through deep breathing, a quick body scan, or even journaling can help you catch these signs before you hit burnout. Something we don't talk about enough is how constantly being stretched between work life and home life impacts our presence at home as much as at work. When we're always in the hustle mode, even when we are with our kids, we're not really with them. Our minds are elsewhere, running through to-do lists, checking emails, mentally preparing for the next meeting, next presentation, or other next challenge at work. Or vice versa. We are still mentally occupied with the kids' homework deadlines or bake sale events at school, after school schedule changes, meal plans, you name it. There's always something going on, right? That is another reason why consciously shifting gears, I mentioned this before, is so important. You consciously acknowledge that it is family time, that it is work time. And if on occasion you have to interrupt one for the other, a conscious switch will come so much more easily to you. Sustainable ambition means making space to be where you are. Without guilt, without feeling like we should always be doing something else. I've learned this the hard way. There have been moments when I was physically sitting with my kids, but my mind was still in work mode, rehashing a meeting, thinking about an email I needed to send, mentally listing out the next day's tasks. And they noticed it. "Mom, are you listening?" It hit me that I was only half present. I made a conscious decision to make sure that my work phone and laptop are stowed away when the kids get home, if at all possible. I sit down with my kids and truly listen to their stories, their questions and concerns, after time away from home and me. It's not always easy, I'll admit that. Because, I need to flip that switch. But that's what my body can help me with. But you know what? It does feel different once you do it. I felt present. I felt there. But the thing is, it's not a one-time switch. It's not a one-time fix. Presence isn't something you decide on once and it sticks. It's a continuous practice, a daily effort to shift from being stuck in your head to being in your body and, with that, fully in the present. Over time, it does get easier, but it requires intention. Just like strengthening a muscle, the more you practice shifting gears, the more naturally it comes. And when you do it, it transforms not just your time with your family, but also your work, your energy, and your overall well-being. So let's redefine success. Instead of success meaning doing it all the time, what if success meant working in a way that aligns with your energy? Shifting between topics and professional or private spaces intentionally, creating space for rest without guilt, measuring progress in a way that actually feels good. Because real ambition isn't about burnout, it's about sustainability. So here's your challenge for today. Pay attention to one signal from your body. Maybe it's the tension in your shoulders, maybe it's the deep sigh you take between tasks, or just wiggling your toes when you take off those high heels. Whatever it is, acknowledge it and ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? Because that, mama, is where real success starts. I hope after listening to this episode, you can give yourself permission to rethink ambition on your terms. And if it resonated with you, share it with another ambitious mom who needs to hear this today. If you're ready to start using body awareness to navigate your career with more ease, check out my Work Challenge playbook. It's linked in the show notes. Until next time, more you, not more to do.